Iron deficiency or anemia is one of the worst things that can go wrong inside your body. It's not just that you'll get a little pale and won't be as physically capable. Anemia can cause severe issues for your bones, blood cells, and even your heart. That's why it's incredibly important to pay special attention to your body and notice any deficiency before it has had the much undesired consequences it can lead to. Scared yet? Well, don't be, because today we'll be going over what iron deficiency is, what it leads to, and how to spot it before it can become serious and dangerous, so you can counteract it as soon as possible. Before we continue, if you find these types of videos helpful, make sure to subscribe to our channel, Welcome to Wellness, along with hitting the bell icon as we release new content all the time. That way you'll always know the latest wellness advice out there. With that being said, let's stop beating around the bush and let's get on with the video. What is iron in the body? First off, let's start with what iron in the body actually is, and why we need it. As you can probably guess, we don't have a piece of metal inside our bodies, and it's definitely a good thing when a piece of metal is missing from your body. No, iron is a mineral that we intake from different food sources. The reason it is so important to us is because it is a huge component of the protein hemoglobin. No, not goblins. Hemoglobin. You've probably heard the term. It's often used by doctors whenever blood tests are involved, and in fact, it's one of the first things they look at. Whenever you hand them your blood test results, this is because hemoglobin is responsible for transporting oxygen through the blood cells all throughout the body. As you know, oxygen is incredibly important, and well-oxygenated blood cells mean better function in every part of the body. But that's just one thing. Iron is also a part of many other processes in the body as well. Let's take a look at what some of them are. For example, it's a part of myoglobin, which similarly to hemoglobin, carries oxygen but specifically carries and stores it within the muscle tissues. Another use of iron in the body is that it's a big player in the development of the brain in children, and overall it's a big part of the production and function of many different cells in the body. As you can see, iron is pretty important, but yet iron deficiency is still the most common nutritional deficiency worldwide, affecting 33% of the population. Usually, the biggest problem with any nutritional deficiency is that the symptoms are subtle and very easy to neglect. With iron, it's even more problematic due to its insane level of importance for the proper functioning of our body. Usually, people aren't educated on the importance of proper nutrition and what the symptoms mean, and the problem with this is that they neglect them until it's too late. But hey, that's the whole point of this video, right? Let's go over 7 different signs and symptoms that follow along with iron deficiency anemia, so that if you ever catch yourself with any of these, you'll know to go get checked out immediately. Number 1. Unusual fatigue or tiredness. First, we have to mention being chronically tired. This is a big one because it's both incredibly common with this type of anemia, but it's also incredibly easy to neglect. Constant tiredness and fatigue have become so common in today's fast-paced world, and it can be an effect of so many other lifestyle problems that iron deficiency is probably the last thing to pop in your mind when you're tired. The explanation for this is fairly simple. You lack iron, therefore your body produces less hemoglobin. Without it, less oxygen reaches your muscles and tissues, and with less oxygen, they have less energy to spare. The heart then starts working way harder in order to pump more but less concentrated blood so that enough oxygen reaches the tissues, and there you have it, tiredness and fatigue. Then again, it is true that it could be from overworking or lack of sleep, so don't lose any hair because of this symptom alone. Number 2. Shortness of breath. This one is also pretty self-explanatory. Building on the last point, when your muscles don't have enough oxygen, it's harder for you to do regular activities like lifting stuff up or running or sometimes even walking. So your body tries to intake more oxygen by inhaling more air and more oxygen with it. This is one of the more common symptoms, and you'll be walking around and doing things most of the time. And if you're regularly feeling like you're out of breath, definitely keep in mind that you might have iron deficiency. The easiest way to catch this is to monitor yourself. If you're having a harder time than usual doing easy activities like walking or climbing the stairs, or anything that you didn't find so hard before, you might want to raise awareness. Most people just say, "I must be getting old," and simply accept your fate, quote unquote. Instead, you can be smart about your health and consider the possibilities. That way you can save yourself lots of years before actually getting old. But for now, let's keep going with the other symptoms. Number 3. Heart palpitations. Up next, we have heart palpitations. Noticeable heartbeats and maybe even skips. Now, this one isn't as common as the others, and many times it probably is related to some other health issue. But it's still worth mentioning because blood tests are easy to come by, and if you think you may have a deficiency, it's better to know and do something about it than wait. As for why this happens, it all comes back to the oxygen. In the first symptom, we talked about how when the muscles don't have enough oxygen supply, the heart has to work extra hard to pump out more blood to carry more oxygen. As it works harder, it beats faster and harder, and you get the undesired effect of heart palpitations. Anything that makes your heart work harder than it usually needs to can lead to some bad problems if left alone for a long time. And as we stated earlier, the problem with nutritional deficiencies is that they're usually left alone. Your heart can be working harder for a long time before you start feeling the symptoms, and it's so subtle that you can't even catch it. And then if you ignore it again when the symptoms begin to show up, things can really get quite bad. That's why the best and probably only way to consistently keep good health isn't to always cure things that have already happened, but it's taking a more preventative approach. This means being tested regularly, optimizing your lifestyle, and getting educated about health, which is what you're doing right now. So let's move on. By the way, if you find this video helpful so far, please don't hesitate to hit the like button, as it helps out the channel tremendously, and more people will get to learn more about this. Thanks in advance. Now let's keep going. Number 4. Pale skin. Now this one here is a solid sign that you may have iron deficiency, and in fact, it's one of the first things doctors will check for if you have doubts about anemia. Hemoglobin not only helps cells become more oxygen-rich, but it also gives the blood its red color. With low levels of hemoglobin, the blood becomes more pinkish, and therefore the skin also loses some of its brightness and color. It has been confirmed that the paleness can also be in different parts of the body in people with iron deficiency, so it doesn't have to be throughout. Most commonly is either in the face, lower eyelids, or gums, but it can also be checked in the hands, feet, and nails, although it's not as optimal. For the previous symptoms, you can have them even without having full-on diagnosable anemia. Slightly lower levels of iron deficiency can still lead to tiredness and shortness of breath. Not so much with this. If you're getting paler, you definitely need to go get checked, as you probably already have quite the deficiency. For people with darker skin tones, sometimes the only place you can actually check is on the eyelids. Number 5. Regular headaches. Now it's about time we turned our attention specifically towards the ladies. Now this, although common, isn't the best clue, as the connection between headaches and iron deficiency is still being researched. But it has been shown to be connected many times, so it's more than worth mentioning. Headaches by themselves could be caused by anything from neck tension to more serious internal problems. But regular and recurring headaches can be a symptom of iron deficiency, so just keep that in mind. Also, if the headaches reoccur during menstruation, it's even more likely that it's iron deficiency. Number 6. Dry hair and skin. As you've probably noticed by now, there's a recurring theme here. A good amount of oxygen means you're vibrant and running, and a low amount of oxygen means a bunch of things aren't working properly. It's the same situation here as well. As the cells aren't getting enough oxygen, the cells that are responsible for hair elasticity and growth are running low on fuel and don't work as well. The same goes for the skin. In the same way it can lose its color, it can also lose its hydration. Men, it's also a huge reason and component of hair loss, so beware. As for women, it can also lead to larger amounts of hair being lost as well. So if you notice a bit more hair falling out than usual, know to go check your blood levels out. Number 7. Cold hands and feet. And last but not least, if you have cold hands or feet, there's a possibility that iron deficiency is causing it. If you've come this far in the video, you should already be familiar with what iron deficiency does. This symptom is no different. When there's low oxygen, the whole blood circulation gets messed up trying to compensate for it. This of course leads to either cold hands or any of the other symptoms previously mentioned. And there you have it, health lovers. This was the importance of iron and 7 signs of iron deficiency in the body. We hope this video was helpful and that it opened your eyes to the importance of iron and nutrition in general. Today we only described the benefits of iron and the problems that occur when you lack enough iron in your body. If you want to see what to do and eat if you have any of these symptoms, you might want to check out our video on top 10 foods rich in iron. That will be linked in the description below. With all that said, keep your iron intake in check. We wish you a beautiful day, and until next time, fellow health lovers.